In order to fix our voting system, we do not need to eliminate the Electoral College. We don't even need to get rid of the winner-take-all laws. We need to implement a ranked voting system that is fair to everyone. Voters get to select a first choice, a second choice, and so on, depending on the number of candidates. If you only want to vote for a first choice, that's your right. If you absolutely hate the Republican candidate, you can vote for a Democrat as your first choice, a third party as your second, and then make no third choice. Unfortunately, the ranked voting systems that politicians are pushing today are completely biased against third parties and eliminate your ability to compromise in a truly democratic way. Today, if you ask a person why they voted for a particular presidential candidate, the number one answer that you will get is that the candidate is not the opposite candidate. Most people are not voting for a candidate, they're voting against a candidate. The ranked voting system proposed by politicians do not take this into account. Here's how a ranked system is supposed to work. Ranked system rules. 1. You may not select the same candidate for more than one choice. 2. You do not have to select a second choice or a third choice, but you have the opportunity to. 3. Each voter gets to distribute points by ranking candidates. Example. X equals the number of candidates running. The voter's first choice gets X points. The second choice will get X minus 1 points. The third choice will get X minus 2 points, and so on. Once the votes are tallied, a winner is announced. Consider this scenario. 100 people voting, 49 are Republicans, 49 Democrats, and 2 Libertarians. Choice 1 is worth 3 points, choice 2 is worth 2 points, choice 3 is worth 1 point. The Republicans vote for a Republican as their first choice and a Libertarian as their second. The Democrats vote for a Democrat for their first choice and a Libertarian for their second. The 2 Libertarians vote for a Libertarian for their first choice and a mix of Republicans or Democrats for their second and third choices. So now let's look at the election results. The Republican candidate receives 150 points. The Democratic candidate also receives 150 points, but the Libertarian, who was the second choice of nearly everyone, receives 202 points. So the voters have compromised on what candidate they want, and that compromise produced a win for the Libertarian candidate. The following is the only ranked voting system being deemed as acceptable by our current politicians because it follows the rules of the biased and disenfranchising runoff elections. In fact, it is also known as instant runoff voting.
Ranked choice voting is an alternative way for citizens to vote for who they would like to represent them in office.
You pick your favorite just like always. But then if you want, you can also say, this is my second choice, my third choice, my fourth choice, and my least favorite choice. The polls close, and now all the first place votes are counted. And if that candidate has a true majority, meaning over 50%, well, the election's over and that candidate wins. But if, after the first place votes are counted, none of the 5 has over 50%, then the candidate that is in last place is automatically eliminated from the race, and voters who had selected that candidate first now have their second place votes counted instead. We rerun the totals, and you continue on that process until the election produces a true majority winner, meaning we're always going to elect the candidate with the broadest appeal to the most number of voters.
Using the exact same numbers in the previous scenario, the first round would show the Republican gets 49 votes, the Democrat gets 49 votes, the Libertarian gets 2 votes. The Libertarian would immediately be dropped out, and the second choice of the Libertarians would be counted. The Republican would get 50 votes, the Democrat would get 50 votes. At this point, all the votes are counted. The 2 parties are tied. The Libertarians were forced to select between a Republican and a Democrat, and the voters who simply didn't want the other party winning were disenfranchised because the second choice votes were never counted. The first ranked voting system is fair to everyone, to candidates and voters alike. The second is biased against third parties and disenfranchises all the voters.